Here. All right. I am going to get this thing figured out. Okay, we're good. We got noise. We got sound. Here is CNN making the insane accusation that Donald Trump is building a ballroom because he doesn't want to leave.
This is a guy who has redecorated the Oval a la Marie Antoinette style and is building himself a ballroom because he has zero intention of leaving. And the more Americans realize this, the more prepared we can be. He wants to control the Fed. And what happens when autocrats do this? Inflation spikes. All of our fiscal conservative friends, the economy will tank.
When George H.W. Bush put a horseshoe pit in, did he not intend to leave? When Barack Obama put a basketball court in, did he not intend to leave?
You know what? This is.
Yeah, I mean, these are great questions. Jason Ibsen said, figure it out, bud. You know what, pal? Listen. Okay, hold on. Let me go full screen for this guy. I don't know who you are, sir. I'm just kidding. Jason's a good buddy of mine. He's just breaking chops. Welcome on, man. Glad to have you here. But yeah, anything, they will say anything and they will do anything to try to make Donald Trump, they have to stick to this lie. And that lie is that no matter what Donald Trump is doing, it's because he's trying to be a king. No matter what he's doing, it's because he's evil, he's a tyrant, and it's absurd. Here's Donald Trump talking about how it's not going to cost $250 million. It's actually going to cost closer to $300 million.
You know, there's a relative, nobody's actually seen anything quite like it. I think it'll be one of the great ballrooms anywhere in the world. It's about $300 million. It's set to do many, many things, including meetings of foreign leaders, including the honoring of foreign leaders. You can see this. This is a plan. If it's got tables so that you honor.
90,000 square feet. That's 2 acres. That's 2 full acres of a room. Just a room that's 2 acres. I can't emphasize how massive this is.
A foreign leader, we have a proper space. Right now, we have a space that with tables holds about 79 people. You know, there's a relative.
So they're saying it's going to hold about 1,000 people. 1,000 people it's going to hold. I can't wait to see it. I'm glad that he's doing it. The FBI has just released a video. Okay, this is a story that wasn't really massive, but needs to be a massive story. So January 6th, that the assault on the Capitol wasn't the only incident. There was another incident. It was 2 other incidents, I believe, where a suspect, one of them planted a pipe bomb at the Democratic National Committee building in Washington, D.C. They found the pipe bomb. It never went off. There's videotape of the guy doing it. Nobody's ever been able to find him. Dan Bongino has been all over this. Before he went to the FBI, when he was podcasting, he was all over this. Now he's in there, and he wants this guy as much as I do or anybody does. Jason said, putting him in a ballroom means he plans on squatting. Makes perfect sense. The left is like masturbating with a cheese grater, slightly amusing at first and then utterly painful. Appreciate that comment, sir. All right, so the FBI just released this video. You got to remember, we're only like, 8-9 months into this administration. And Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, they're working through all of this stuff. There's a lot of stuff to clean up. But here is the video that the FBI released.
On January 5th, 2021, between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m., an unidentified individual placed pipe bombs near the offices of the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee in Washington, D.C. The FBI and our partners are renewing our call for tips from the public to help us identify the suspect.
Important to note that this was done on January 5th. This is the night before January 6th. Now, on January 6th, the Capitol, right, the assault, the protest at the Capitol that got out of hand by a bunch of maniacs. And listen, I'm not the guy who's going to sit here and say all 100% of January 6ers were justified with what they were doing. No. There was definitely a bunch of people. They're on video. Now you could sit here and say, oh, they were influenced by undercover FBI agents. Fine, whatever. You're still responsible for your own actions. But the important thing is that wasn't like a plan. Like January 6th wasn't planned. So what is the odds if it wasn't planned from the standpoint of the rioters, and then we find out that there were, I think, like a few hundred FBI agents in the crowd, undercover FBI agents, which we've gone over on the show, and we found video of them chumming up with Capitol Police officers. That wasn't planned, right? You know, it was mob rule took over. If it was a true riot, that's just mob rule that takes over. But how is somebody simultaneously placing pipe bombs outside of the DNC the night before this massive attack on the Capitol? So that would indicate it was planned, right? But who planned it? That's the question.
A reward of up to $500,000 is available for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the individual responsible for this attempted attack. If you have any information, please call the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. You can also submit tips online at tips.fbi.gov. The FBI's estimate is the suspect's height is approximately 5'7" tall.
He's just a little guy. Or girl.
The suspect wore a face mask, a gray hooded sweatshirt, and black gloves. They used a backpack to transport each of the devices. They were wearing distinctive Nike Air Max Speed Turf shoes, which are black and gray with the yellow Nike logo.
Totally a white guy.
Fewer than 25,000 of these shoes were sold between August 2018 and January 2021. The first time the suspect is seen is at approximately 7:34 p.m. at the intersection of 1st Street and North Carolina Avenue Southeast. The person walks southwest on North Carolina Avenue, turns north on New Jersey Avenue, west on D Street, and then south on South Capitol Street. This footage of the suspect on South Capitol Street shows the person setting down their backpack, which is believed to contain one.
Here's the thing, and we watched this video. This is a very feminine walk. This is a very feminine.
And then south on South Capitol Street.
Sorry, I rewinded it. Look at the walk. That looks like a chick, or somebody who identifies as one.
This footage of...
That's not a conservative militia member, like Nazi walk. Sorry, it's not. That's not super like... that's not what I would envision a conservative, like a hardcore militia member who's trying to overthrow the government would walk like.
The suspect on South Capitol Street shows the person setting down their backpack, which is believed to contain one of the bombs at this time. The suspect appears to put on a pair of glasses and scan the area, standing on tiptoes. Before picking up the backpack, turning around, and heading back the way they came on South Capitol Street. After reaching the corner of D Street, the suspect turns around again, and this time walks south all the way down South Capitol Street to a bench outside the Democratic National Committee headquarters building. Here we see the suspect sit on the bench for a few minutes, they do not place the bomb at this time. The suspect then walks east on Ivy Street,
They're walking like they have lifts in their shoes. Maybe it's Ron DeSantis. I love you, Ron.
turns north on New Jersey Avenue, and then pauses near the corner of D Street before retracing their steps back to the DNC bench where the first bomb is placed.
So a $500,000 reward is substantial. I mean, they really don't do that. Even the killer for Charlie Kirk was $100,000. $500,000 of reward is substantial.
This footage shows the suspect sitting on the DNC bench before placing the first bomb. Here we see the suspect place the bomb at approximately 7:54 p.m. From there, the person walks north on South Capitol Street. East on D Street, south on New Jersey Avenue, northeast on North Carolina Avenue, when we lose video coverage of the suspect at approximately 8 p.m. 8 minutes later, at about 8:08 p.m., we pick the suspect back up on camera heading north on 2nd Street. The suspect walks west on C Street, enters an alley that leads to Rumsey Court, and then walks west on Rumsey Court.
Look how feminine he walks, or she walks.
This footage shows the suspect pass between the RNC and the Capitol Hill Club.
Bro, you got that hip movement? This ain't a runway, homie. This ain't a runway.
This footage shows the suspect pass between the RNC and the Capitol Hill Club, holding the back
boom, baba, boom, baba, boom, baba, boom.
pack out to the side. The person continues between the RNC and the Capitol Hill Club, then continues north on 1st Street, east on C Street, back into the alley toward Rumsey Court, back onto Rumsey Court. They placed the second pipe bomb at approximately 8:16 p.m. The suspect then turns back onto Rumsey Court, walking east until the person is last seen on camera at approximately 8:18 p.m., wearing the backpack on their shoulders. The bomb is believed to have been placed shortly before this video, based on how the suspect is carrying the backpack. We still believe there is someone out there who has information they may not have realized was significant until now. We're asking you to come forward to share that information with the FBI. Please call the FBI with any information at 1-800-CALL-FBI or submit tips online at tips.fbi.gov. Tips can
There's a lot of things about this that just don't make any sense. There's a lot about this that just, it doesn't make any dang sense at all whatsoever. Here is Dan Bongino on his podcast. And now this is the guy investigating this on behalf of the FBI. I'm telling you, he's running this investigation. Dan has been on top of this since January 6th.
Not. But he's definitely wrong on this one. And that's why I don't agree. And I've defended Congressman Massey in the past. You just go back and watch the shows. I don't get emotional about these things. He has been amazing on the January 6th pipe bomber case. Incredible. He is wrong here. I'm sorry, he's wrong. He doesn't have a tactical plan to cut spending. I just gave it to you. Get rid of this CR, deal with it for 3 more months, move on to reconciliation, and fight the fight there where you actually have the numbers. Does that make sense? Anybody disagree? If you think that I'm a toolbox and a jerk right now, and you're like, that's just crazy, tell me in the chat. I'm open. All I'm asking you is, if you believe that, tell me what your plan is. Tell me what your plan is to get over the Senate filibuster. If you have it, I'd love to hear it. Everybody, everybody can.
That's the wrong clip. I got another one here. Hold on. I think this is the one. Let's watch this.
It is time for total personnel warfare. Do you understand that? Everybody has to go. Anyone in the justice system, a United States attorney, an AUSA, an assistant United States attorney, that's what we call them in the system, the intake AUSA, who decides, anyone who sniffed this case, touched this case, tweeted positively about this case, it is the president's full and final discretion to keep you hired in the DOJ. Pam Bondi, soon to be President Trump, soon to be Attorney General, everybody's got to go. It is time for, say it with me, folks, throw it in the chat right now, total personnel warfare.
Yes.
You won't fix a mother thing if you don't fire every single person who looked at this thing and didn't speak out about this abomination.
He's talking about the pipe bomb case because it's so insane that with all of the technology that we have, we cannot find this person. Here he is talking about information he got from whistleblowers.
You ready for number 2? Here's another one. Separate whistleblower reaches out to me. And this I've been working on for a while. This isn't new. Folks, let's just get this out of the way about January 6th. It is now confirmed. I mean, you knew this in advance. So this is why I put this first. This is not breaking news. However, I can confirm to you, in case you were even remotely deluded about it, say you're a lefty watching my show, that the FBI 100% had undercovers in the crowd on January 6th. I know you know that.
This was like 3 years ago when the FBI was denying that. Now they just came out and said there was not just 1 or 2, there was hundreds of them there. Hundreds of them in the crowd, dressed as MAGA supporters.
I'm just saying Christopher Wray's been shady about it and others. I'm telling you from a source on the ground with photo evidence to back it up, the FBI and other agencies, not just the FBI, by the way, had multiple undercovers on the ground on January 6th. Period. There's now no disputing it. I've seen the evidence. Number two, the pipe bombs that were placed at the DNC and the RNC that I believe were planted there on purpose by people looking to frame Trump supporters.
Correct.
To stop the objection to the certification of the vote.
Yes.
They didn't want people talking about voter fraud problems, so they needed this.
Right. 100%.
After the pipe bombs were found, assets on the ground, including a whistleblower who was not there but was one of the assets on the ground, was briefed about the pipe bombs the next day and shown a picture of a guy in a hoodie. Hey, we're looking for this guy. Planted these pipe bombs. And they were like, wow, that's crazy. Almost killed Kamala Harris, God forbid. This whistleblower tells me that, but 2 days later, after the pipe bombs, he notes, emphasis his, without explanation, they were told to stand down. No need to look for the guy anymore, which is really strange because the FBI is telling us now there's like a $22 trillion reward for finding this guy. 500,000. You get the point. So the FBI is trying to find the guy, but not trying to find the guy 2 days later when the evidence trail was hot. Why do you think that is? Because maybe in that period they found out who the guy was and they were like, oh shit, we can't have them knowing that. Point 4. This whistleblower believes very strongly, emphasis his, that the pipe bomber may be a government contractor. What? What the hell? This whistleblower's record with me is 100%. We're not destroying this bag. I have no reason to doubt, given his expertise, that he's giving me an accurate assessment of the situation. But he believes with near certainty that the pipe bomber may be a government contractor.
There were so many just strange things that were going on with that election. It was such a wild time. It was such a wild thing to even think about, that we had more votes than any other election in history, which is common, but Joe Biden received more votes than any president in American history. Give me a freaking break. Give me a break. And at the time, I was not on the side of the election denying, like, at all. But now, hindsight's 2020. And Trump was right about everything. I firmly believe that. And, the pipe bomber thing is very suspicious. How in 2020, how do you not find 2021? How do you not find somebody who planted 2 bombs in the capital of the United States of America with all of the technology that we have? How did he get out of the city? There's cameras everywhere. You pick people up on camera when they're walking around with facial recognition software. You punch it into the network and it pops out, oh, he popped up here on 32nd Street. He popped up here on 48th Street. He came in this way and went that way. And we have the whole trail. We saw it with Luigi Mangione. You're not getting in and out of New York City without being on camera the entire time. You're not getting in and out of Washington, D.C. without being on camera the entire time. How do you plant a bomb that's going to kill the vice president-elect of the United States, get caught doing it on camera, get caught walking around Washington, D.C. with witnesses walking past you, and get away with that? How does that even happen? No way. No way. I ain't buying that. Not a shot. But the good news is that Dan has been on top of this since day one. And now he's the assistant director of the FBI. Here's Rand Paul on Benny Johnson.
The only phone that it seems like they couldn't spy on was the January 6th pipe bomber. Have you ever found that strange?
We never heard any more about it. You would think in our era, with all the cameras out there, somebody would have seen him, or I guess they did have some pictures of him.
He was on the phone, Senator. He was sitting there on the phone right next to the Capitol. You know, they scooped him.
You would think if he's on phone and with a warrant, you could find out geolocation probably of who was standing in that position. There probably were 4 or 5 phones. I mean, how hard would it be to find the person who was on that phone? I would think you would be able to do that with geolocation data, with a warrant, of course. But nothing ever happened to that. So I don't know.
Strange.
Nothing ever happens. Yes, that's right. Nothing ever happens. The only phone that it seemed.
So when I was a police officer, we would be able to do certain things. We'd be able to track people with their cell phones. We needed obviously like a warrant, some high level clearance. We had to get our superiors involved. But like a missing persons or a kidnapping, a situation like that, we could be like, we need to ping their phone. I'd call my sergeant and say, we need to ping this phone. This is exactly why we need it. And then he would handle it from there. And your phone tracks you no matter where you go. Forget about iPhone and the apps that they do, just based on the cell tower. The cell tower can see exactly who owns the phone and where they're standing. So if I'm on the phone in Washington, D.C., and I'm on camera on the corner of North and Main at 8:48 a.m. and I'm using my cell phone, the cell phone towers have that data. You will be able to pull that data and say, in this vicinity, within feet, not within miles, within feet, even in a cup like 6 feet, 10 feet. That's how accurate it is. You'll be able to pull that data. Now, you have the data. So where'd the cell phone come from? And then you chase the trail. This is nonsense. There's no way you're using a modern day cell phone on camera after you tried to kill the vice president-elect of the United States with 2 bombs in the capital of the United States of America. Absolutely not. It is a mathematical improbability. It is a highly unlikely you would be able to achieve that. And just based on this person's walking and how many times they're circling the block, if you're a professional hitman, if you're a professional bomber, you're not casing the same path 2, 3, 4 times. You already know where you're going. You cased it a week ago. You're going in, and you're going out. One loop. You're not going back and forth. You're not on the phone asking somebody, okay, where should I put it? What do I do with it? There's no way. This is not a professional. This is an idiot. And idiots don't get away with planting bombs to kill the vice president-elect. This is from CBS News. Is this? I don't watch these clips, so sometimes I get hung up. After months of investigating, reports the FBI to have a few, if any, actionable leads on the suspect who planted bombs outside the DNC and RNC the night before the Capitol riot. Let's listen to this.
You've been tracking the investigation into those pipe bombs left outside the Republican and Democratic National Committee's headquarters on January 6th. What is the latest on that?
Well, the FBI, Elaine, is offering a reward of $100,000. And based on my reporting, I understand that the FBI has few, if any, actionable leads in this particular case. You remember a couple of months ago, the FBI took the unusual step of releasing this video of the pipe bomb suspects. You see them there in the left-hand corner of your screen. The reason this video is so important is...
Look how confused this person is. They don't even know where they are. They're looking around. They're stopped.
And the reason this video is so important is that it showed how the suspect walked. And law
They're like walking on high heels.
enforcement does something called gait analysis. Most people don't realize that the way that they walk is as individual as their DNA.
That's like a woman.
Or their fingerprint. And the FBI had hoped that someone at home would recognize the mannerisms of that individual, and it would lead to a breakthrough in the case. But I'm sorry to report, based on my reporting, that has not happened at this time. And those
did we find this person?
Pipe bombs.
Here's this guy walking his dog by in front of the pipe bomber, in front of this person's house.
That is really the missing.
We didn't talk to. Did we talk to this person? Who is this person?
Thread in all of this. They were planted the night before the riots. So what was the intention? Was it to shut down the Electoral College vote? If they had gone off that evening, it would have created a ring of steel around the Capitol, and that certainly would have changed the dynamic on the 6th lane.
That's what I'm saying. But January 6th wasn't planned from the protesters' point of view. From the protesters' side, it wasn't planned. From the majority of people, there may be some people that were there that were like, we're going to storm the Capitol, thinking it would never happen, and then all of a sudden it happened. But things like that, you don't get away with planning that on that massive of a scale with thousands and thousands of people to show up. You don't get away with that. That's not what happens. The FBI picks it up. You don't like that. There's no way. How do you organize thousands of people with the intent to storm the Capitol building without it being flagged on social media or picked up by Raytheon riot systems or anything of that nature? Here's Elon Musk talking about the pipe bomber.
So, on the subject of transparency, January 6th, there were there's a single attempted act of violence where the 2 pipe bombs at the Democrat and Republican headquarters. The government released a picture of the pipe bomber sitting on a bench, talking on a cell phone. It was time-stamped. We know there's video cameras probably every 5 feet in D.C. Right. Why haven't they announced who the pipe bomber is?
Well, maybe he's a federal employee. Maybe. Maybe.
Clear on Twitter. some detectives on Twitter, I think, were pretty clear that it was obvious who it was. Well, can't they just tell the truth?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think if President Trump is elected, we're going to get to the bottom of a lot of these things.
I hope so, and it looks like we're starting to. It really does look like we're starting to. I know a lot of people were in the beginning like, why isn't anything happening yet? It's like, guys, it's only been a couple of months. We're only 10 months into the presidency. Now, 9 months into the presidency. And these things take time. Here is even the famous Tucker Carlson Insurrection Day talks about the pipe bomber. This was his famous one that he did on January 6, 2023, where he released the videos of all the innocent people just walking around the Capitol.
Nor can you know about the very obvious clandestine role of federal agencies that encouraged the events of January 6th. That happened, but its details have never been explained. A lot has still not been explained from that day, despite a committee that was impaneled for more than a year. For example, you remember the pipe bomber who planted explosives outside the Democratic National Committee? Well, those explosives, it turns out, were under a bench at the same moment that Kamala Harris, who had Secret Service protection with her, who swept the building, was there. So how did the U.S. Secret Service miss a bomb sitting in plain sight during its security sweep? Well, we can't answer that because the FBI still, to this day, refuses to release all the security footage. Why? What's going on here? Almost unique among media outlets, Revolver News asked that question.
The pipe bomber even looks at camera to head on, for some reason. It's very frustrating, because we can't see the moment the pipe bomber plants the pipe bomb, but the FBI can. That's because the whole scene should be captured on camera 1 as well, and much more clearly than camera 2. Camera 1 has a clear shot of both benches. If the FBI released the full tape from camera 1, we could see the pipe bomber planting the bomb.
So somebody planted bombs outside the headquarters of this country's two main political parties. That would seem to be a big story, and yet no one ever mentions it again, including the FBI. In fact, the Bureau won't disclose any information about the suspect, not his height, weight, shoe size, anything. So if they wanted to catch this person, wouldn't they be telling you all they can about who it is? But they're not. Why aren't they? And what was Kamala Harris doing there? Why did she lie about being there? We can't answer those questions. We should be able to.
You know, the longer a case stays cold, the harder it is to solve. That's why if you ever watch the show, the first 48 hours are the most important in solving a crime or a murder. But you heard Dan Bongino say it first, that his source in the FBI told him that they were hot on this guy's trail and they were told to basically back off, to stop pursuing this. I think it's coincidental. I think, like, there's no way this is not a planned event on behalf of not the protesters. I don't, not the protesters. I don't see how it could be. Now, it's very easy to manipulate a crowd in a high tense situation. And I learned this as a police officer. I also learned this in the Marine Corps when we went to riot control school before we went on our Marine Expeditionary Unit. The first thing you should do is when you have what's called an agitator. When there's an agitator in the crowd, the person who is the agitator, who is basically getting everybody geared up and get everybody fired up, because people are not generally prone to violence. So when they see everybody's, if you're in a crowd and everybody's being peaceful, right? You're fine. You're okay. Everybody's peaceful. But then somebody gets a little rowdy. They start yelling curse words. You're like, F Trump, or F, Elon Musk, or F this person. You're like, oh, yeah, it's funny. And then maybe you start doing it. Oh, well, they're doing it. Oh, this person's now doing it. And now that person's now doing it. And then you get more and more amped up, right? And then somebody throws a brick. And what happens to that person? Nothing. They don't get arrested. They don't. Then everybody knows that they can get away with it too. It's like toddlers in daycare when you don't have enough parents to supervise. So what we're trained to do in law enforcement and the military is when we're standing there with the riot shields and the guy gets up and starts yelling, F you, we're gonna kill you, we're gonna whatever. Let's everybody get up and go to the Capitol. Everybody get up and we're gonna go downtown and we're gonna go to City Hall. That's the person I'm watching. And I'm going to yoke him up the second I get the chance. I'm going to throw him in cuffs and I'm going to get him out of there. Because that person is influencing the crowd to more violence. He's inciting violence in an already dangerous powder keg situation. So that's what police and military are trained to do. I'm not somebody who's sitting here who's telling you that read that online. I'm somebody who is certified by the United States Marine Corps in riot control and as a police officer. And both of those groups of people taught me that same thing. So you have all of these FBI agents undercover on January 6th. You have these agitators like Ray Epps, who was on the FBI's most wanted list and then was taken immediately off and is now scot-free, when all these other grandmas who got caught trespassing went to federal prison. And why isn't anybody stopping the agitators? Why aren't we pulling the agitators out of the crowd? Why aren't police going up to them and saying, what are you doing? Come here. Give me your ID. Why are you influencing people to do that? Oh, well, I have freedom of speech. Yeah, that's fine. You got freedom of speech. You have ID? I mean, that's what you do. And then you kind of intimidate them to knock it off, right? but none of that stuff was done. And then they let them in the building. There's more to this story. And I hope that not all of the evidence was shredded and destroyed. I hope that we can get to the bottom of it and get some sanity and maybe put some people in jail. Thanks for tuning in to the Ryan Samuels Show. Make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and we will see you tomorrow night. Don't forget to go to ryanfsamuels.com/shop. Buy some merchandise. I got this Reagan Bush 84 shirt, the Don't Tread on Me hat, all at ryanfsamuels.com. We will see you tomorrow night. God bless you. God bless our troops. God bless the United States of America.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ryan Samuels Show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.